It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the 4 films of April 11th, 2008. And needless to say, this is one of those really bad weekends for movies. A lot of bad films over here overall. Some films that just aren't good, period, and just kind of mediocre. This is not going to be one of the good weeks to take a look at movies, but we have to do it anyway, so let's power through. Let's start off with the first film we have here, and that is the remake of Prom Night. God, you kids out there will see anything if it means you get a piece of ass in the process. I mean, that's literally why this movie was a hit. No one wanted to see this movie. Nobody wanted to go out there and see this because it was a good film. No, they went out to see it because of one thing. They wanted to take their dates out, and they wanted to get laid afterwards. That's literally why this movie exists. And you could tell because as soon as this movie's first weekend came and went, nobody cared about the movie after that. So in this film, you have Brittany Snow as Donna, and her senior prom is supposed to be the best night of her life, one of magic, beauty, and love. Surrounded by her best friends, she should be safe from the horrors of her dark past, but when the night turns from magic to murder, there's only one man who could be responsible, the man she thought was gone forever. Now Donna and her friends must find a way to escape the sadistic rampage of an obsessed killer and survive their prom night. Dun dun dun! Yeah, there's nothing original about this movie whatsoever. Of course, this is a remake of the 1980 film, which starred Jamie Lee Curtis and Leslie Nielsen, and that served well for this time period and was a much more better put together film than anything that this garbage can do. There's just nothing of quality here in this movie. I mean, this is a film that is literally straight up just a movie about prom night, and not even a remake of Prom Night. It's just a bland horror movie that took the name because of the name recognition. And yeah, you can tell right from the get-go, the acting in here is terrible. Nobody is threatening or whatsoever. Everybody acts like they're idiots, and everything you expect in a horror movie like this is in there. There's no cleverness to this film. There's a wasted cast in here that includes such notable names as Brittany Snow and Jonathan Schaech and Idris Elba. This is a disastrous movie, man. This is a terrible, terrible movie. Avoid this one like the plague. There's not much more I can even say about it because it's so forgettably bad. It's a terrible movie. Just avoid it. Now let's take a look at the one film that I would probably say is the best of the films that we had this weekend, but even then, that's not really saying a whole lot. This is Street Kings. You see the stacked cast that's in that trailer there, and you have Keanu Reeves starring as an LAPD detective, Tom Ludlow, who's a ruthlessly efficient, unorthodox undercover cop. Captain Jack Wander, played by Forrest Whitaker, always covers for Ludlow, as do even his somewhat jealous colleagues. After technically excessive violence against a vicious Korean gang during the liberation of kidnapped child sex slaves, Ludlow becomes the target of hotshot Infernal Affairs Captain James Biggs, played by Hugh Laurie. And after, he feels passed over after Wander's promotion to chief, Ludlow's ex-patrol partner, Terrence Washington, played by Terry Crews, sides with IA, but is killed during a shop robbery in Ludlow's presence. Ludlow works his way through the twisted rungs of the police and the deadly streets of Los Angeles for answers that only lead to more questions. And that's just that's just the beginning of this iceberg of cast that people that you may be very familiar with. You've got Chris Evans, Cedric the Entertainer, Jay Moore, Naomi Harris, Common, The Game, John Corbett, Amario Nolasco, Clifton Powell. I mean, there's a stacked cast in this movie. This was a film that was originally intended to be directed by David Fincher back in the 90s, but that was passed aside. Spike Lee was going to direct it at one point. It was passed aside. Oliver Stone was going to direct it at one point, and then eventually landed into the hands of David Ayer. And, I mean, a good ride of a Training Day, but this is a film that's coming right after Harsh Times, which wasn't that great of a film overall, and this one's barely passable. It's a typical generic cop thriller, which I think he did a whole lot better with End of Watch a couple years later. This is a film that clearly feels like a film that was just tossed around from director to director with a different vision than what they wanted to do, and they got through it because they had, this is based off of James Ellroy's story. This is written by Kurt Wimmer, who did Equilibrium. There's a lot of names and talent throughout this movie that you feel like all these pieces are coming together for a very jumbled mess of a film. You got all these great actors in here, but even then, it's not enough to really save the film overall. It's passable. Sometimes there are lines that are so bad they're good. But other than that, though, there's just nothing about the film that really makes it stand out or anything that makes it unique in the end. Like I said, it's the best of the films that we have this week, but even then, it's not saying a whole lot. So take that for what you will. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the indie comedies that we have this weekend, and one of them is Smart People. So Dennis Quaid plays Lawrence Weatherholt, who's a miserable, misanthropic person, a widower, a pompous professor at Carnegie Mellon, an indifferent father to a college student and a high school senior, and the reluctant brother of a ne'er-do-well who comes to town. A seizure and a fall sends Lawrence to the emergency room, where the physician, a former student, ends up going up on a date with him. She's played by Sarah Jessica Parker. His daughter Vanessa, played by Ellen Page, lonely and friendless, begins bonding with his brother, played by Thomas Hayden Church, tries to sabotage Dad and the doctor's relationship, but Lawrence is good at that without help. Is there any way these smart people can get a life? Can happiness be pursued by layers of irony? You know, for a movie called Smart People, I kind of expected something smart and not really a boring mess of a film. I mean, this is another one of those movies where the intentions are clearly there. They got a lot of really good talent here with Quaid, Parker, Page, and Thomas Hayden Church, but just not a good enough script to really make it stand out on its own. It's a movie that's trying to be this indie darling. I mean, it's one of the producers of Sideways. You got some of the stars from some big indie hits of recently, Sideways and Juno in here. And they're really not doing anything to salvage the film and make it somewhat watchable in the end. It's a boring film. Like, there's really not a whole lot about this film that I found enjoyable about it. And I like everybody that's in this film, but the comedy isn't really that great. The drama is very formulaic. And yeah, it just really didn't live up to what I think it could have been. I think it could have been a really good film overall, but it never gets to the point where I would say it's one you should definitely check out. It's a film that's very disappointing. With the people involved in here, with the fact that it's made by the same people who made Sideways, you expect so much better from them. Now, if you want a good movie produced by the same guys that did Sideways that came out this weekend, I said Street Kings was the best film that came out this weekend. I completely forgot about the last film we have here, Richard Jenkins as The Visitor. So in the movie, you have Richard Jenkins as a lonely man in late middle age whose life changes with a chance encounter with an immigrant couple, forcing him to face issues relating to identity, immigration, and cross-cultural communication in post-9/11 New York City. It was directed by Tom McCarthy, who would later give us the Oscar-winning Spotlight. He also would do Win-Win, The Cobbler, Timmy Failure, Mistakes Were Made. So he's made some decent movies over the last couple of years. But really, this, I think, is his best overall film, and it really is a showcase for this actor, Richard Jenkins, who is absolutely incredible. A great character actor. I mean, most people will know him later in the year for being the father in Step Brothers, but man, he's great in this movie. This is a chance for him to get a chance to show what he can do as a leading actor, and it pays off big time. He was a great success in this film. He really is the star of the show. You also have Danny Guerrero, who of course is Shuri from Black Panther, making one of her early film debuts in here. But oh wait, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I said Shuri. No, that's Michonne from The Walking Dead, and also Okoye. Yeah, my apologies for that. I should have figured that out. I mean, but yeah, that's Danny Guerrero, Michonne from The Walking Dead. I'm sorry for that, but back to Richard Jenkins. He is absolutely incredible in the movie. He was so good in here. He was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor for a film that not a lot of people really got to see. So this was a chance for everybody to see this film and see what this actor can really do. And he pays it off big time. He is fantastic. He's a really great actor. He's great in this film. This is his showcase to show what he can do as a leading actor, and it works very well. It's easily the best film I saw from this list of films this weekend, and it's one you should definitely check out. Definitely seek out The Visitor. And so with all of that said, we're going to wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Now, the next time we meet, we'll take a look at 3 movies. I know there's other ones here, but these are the 3 that I remember seeing that came out this weekend. And that's Jackie Chan and Jet Li in Rob Minkoff's The Forbidden Kingdom. We also have Jason Segel in one of my favorite comedies of all time, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and Al Pacino starring in the thriller 88 Minutes. So we'll take a look at those 3 films coming up on tomorrow's show. But until then, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, notification button, and the bell. That's when you get updates on when new videos come out. And we do post new videos here every day. So with all that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.